The inquiry will begin tomorrow with an on-site inspection of the beleaguered washery by the 5-member bipartisan committee. Removing rock and dirt from the coal is a high priority because of damage being done to power station boilers. But a design problem means the washery clogs easily and has never run at peak efficiency. Today, the chairman of the Parliamentary Accounts Committee, MP for Drummoyne, John Murray, addressed the Newcastle Businessmen's Club weekly lunch at Tats. Mr Murray told the gathering that the work of his committee has seen millions of dollars in formerly stagnant public money turned into working capital. The chairman said his group ensures accountability and is in turn itself answerable to Parliament. So what then will the Ravensworth inquiry entail?
We have no technical knowledge amongst the committee, but we really must go into the field and have a hands-on experience so that when we have the committee hearings in Parliament, we understand the jargon and the technical knowledge that comes forward. I might say we do have the services of consultants who are expert in that field to advise us behind the scenes.
So how sure can you be that no more public money will be wasted at Ravensworth and that the facility there will actually work?
It's not our job to make it work. Our job is to inform the Minister as to the problems and hopefully give him answers which he can then implement, and as a consequence LCOM won't undertake such an operation in the future.
Yakaba Head is to be added to the Myall Lakes National Park. Mr Carr says the 120-hectare headland has outstanding conservation values, including rare littoral rainforest. Included are 60 species of trees and rainforest vines. The addition of Yakaba Head means both Port Stephens headlands are now reserved as National Park. The southern headland, Tomaree, is the focal point of the 896-hectare Tomaree National Park on the southern side of Port Stephens. Minister Carr says the addition of Yakaba Head means that about 58% of the coastline from Port Stephens to Foster is reserved as National Park and State Recreation Area.
Newcastle's Foreshore has come a long way since Prime Minister Hawke planted the first tree back in 1984, marking the beginning of a multi-million-dollar redevelopment. Today, Newcastle City Council aldermen, along with representatives from the media and those associated with construction work, inspected the site under the guiding hand of project engineer Bob Heather. One of the main features of the Queen's Wharf will be the Market Street footbridge, leading to a 30-metre tower which will offer one of the most scenic views across the harbour. The walkway is expected to be completed by mid-September. Over the next 6 months, the transformation of the Foreshore will include the construction of a fountain, designed to be the centrepiece of the Customs Plaza. The project will cost $30,000, and today Brian Varnum, manager of Hughes Brothers, contracted to build Queen's Wharf, handed over a cheque for half that amount. According to Foreshore Committee Chairman Alderman Dennis Nichols, the $13 million project will be ready in time for next year's celebrations.
The project is running right on time. It's due for completion in December of this year, and the target finish date is December 31. The project's right on time.
Participants travelled from as far away as Queensland and southern New South Wales to take part in the course, which is held annually to make breeders more aware of how to judge their cattle. For 2 days they've learnt how to better assess animals on the hoof. Today they were shown what is attractive to the commercial market at the School of Butchery at Hamilton TAFE. Under the direction of experts from the Department of Agriculture and livestock officers, each carcass was rated on such attributes as muscle texture and fat coverage. Head teacher at the school, Ted Wilcock, then explained what butchers will pay for and how popular belief about the undesirability of any fat is incorrect.
Once that meat is cooked, it will be much more flavoursome It will be much more tender because of that fat. It'll have a slight sprinkling of fat through the meat muscle, and is not going to be damaging to people's health, contrary to what people were talking about 4 or 5 years ago.
The Booti State Recreation Area on the banks of the Wallace Lakes near Foster is undoubtedly one of the most beautiful sections of bushland along the coast. It's also close to urban areas and just 4 hours' drive from Sydney, which has put added pressure on the facilities available. To keep Booti safe without restricting it to the public, a plan of management has been devised. This will include a new amenities block at the Ruins camping area and a new surf club at Elizabeth Beach. The government has also decided to get rid of huts at Yagon Beach near Seal Rocks, much to the displeasure of fishermen in the area, and replace them with camping and caravan facilities. Another popular spot to receive a facelift is Leggs Camp in the Myall Lakes National Park, which will also provide camping and caravan areas on a year-round basis. Mr Carr made the announcements after taking a walk through the Booti State Recreation Area, and he says this reaffirms his commitment to preserving the natural environment. He says the state government is determined to put its money where its mouth is in terms of conservation.
Look at the investment, the commitment being made to Myall Lakes and Booti State Recreation Area. We're looking at $1 million being invested here in the next 12 to 18 month period. And that is a measure of our commitment to public access, the recreation provided within the park system.
During the atomic tests in the 1950s, the radioactive isotope cesium-137 was released into the atmosphere as fallout. Present in the environment in very small amounts, the isotope has proved valuable to scientists like Greg Elliott from the Soil Conservation Service. Cesium-137 is absorbed onto the top layer of the soil and can easily be measured. The Pacolban trials have found that in stable, uneroded sites such as timbered areas and permanent pasture, cesium levels are easily measured. In cultivated and unstable areas, such as the vineyard, little or no cesium is found. The results mean researchers can map out the degree of soil erosion in any one area. The trials have already shown that at this vineyard, 6 tonnes of soil is lost per hectare each year. And according to Greg Elliott, the trials have applications for the land user.
It has strong applications, I see, in conservation farming, the promotion of conservation farming, by demonstrating to landholders that conservation farming really does hold the soil in place. But it has a value beyond that, because we can now show that there is an intrinsic value in doing this. Rather than being good stewardship, it also will, by being able to identify erosion and relate that to productivity, which we can measure at the same time, we can say, right, your erosion is costing you, and we can put it in dollar terms.
Inspecting the Pacolban site today was the Minister for Lands Advisory Council on Soil Conservation. The group, made up of people from various sectors of the community, has been touring the Hunter Valley for the last 2 days, inspecting soil conservation projects such as mine rehabilitation work and broadacre erosion at Merriwar.
In one way or another, the land is used for either food, fibre or shelter. The very basis of our whole existence comes from the land. So I think we all have to be mindful, regardless of whether we live and work on the land or live and work in the cities, that we must maintain our sustainable resource base. Because if we don't maintain our sustainable resource base, you could well say that our livelihood in the very long term, and in some cases in the shorter term, with the erosion rates that are occurring in some situations, could be at risk.
It's 22 years since Ray Brown and the Whispers burst onto the Australian music scene. Their first single, 20 Miles, flew up the charts to #1. Their next 3 singles, Pride, Full, Full, Full and Midnight Hour, saw a repeat effort, with all 3 making it to #1, a feat that has yet to be repeated. They were heady days, and the band often found themselves swamped by fans.
The first time we went to Perth, there were 8,000 kids at the airport, and on the top and bottom deck, and they just broke the ranks and ran across the tarmac, and they had to put us in the back of a catering truck to save us. But it was all good-natured fun. They were just, kids were laughing and all that. It wasn't horrific or anything. But the atmosphere in Australia was absolutely fantastic in those days. It was the Beatles came onto the world scene about 1964, and it just flipped the whole music industry over, and there were great times in Australia. It was a terrific time to go through.
After a few years, the band split up, with everyone going their individual ways. Ray Brown did a number of things, including forming a new band, going to the USA and living in the Australian outback. But today he's back on the Australian music scene. His new band is also called The Whispers, and they're pumping out that 60s music to an audience hungry for that old beat that many are hearing, because of their age, for the first time. But Ray has more than the 60s up his sleeve. Next year, during the bicentennial, he will release what he calls his desert rock music, that shows the influence of the outback, and especially the Pitjantjatjara tribe.
I lived with the Pitjantjatjara tribe on and off for a couple of years, just writing songs and getting influences from the outback. And we have to release those in the bicentennial year. More like desert rock, I'd say. It's a different sound. It's a unique kind of sound. hopefully it'll go okay. The reason we're back now is because there is a demand. There is a demand for that simpler type of music, I guess. I think people sort of enjoy that music. A lot of groups, young groups today, are doing a lot of 60s material. So I guess it's a good opportune time for it to have some originals back in there again.
Under the state government's new workers' compensation legislation, work cover and trans cover, employers are obliged to provide adequate rehabilitation programs for their employees. The decision to change the legislation was made to try and reduce the cost in workers' compensation claims, a cost which in 1984 alone represented $840 million. Because of those changes, the Hospital Corporation of Australia, which operates Lingard Hospital, and the Occupational and Sports Medicine Centre at Merewether, decided to focus even more attention on rehabilitating injured workers. Hence the name change of the centre to HCA Medicorp, and a renewed commitment to get the injured worker back into the workforce as quickly and as economically as possible.
The centre was originally set up 4 to 5 years ago in conjunction with Lingard Hospital. Lingard saw the need for rehabilitation programs, and now that the legislation's changed and work cover's been introduced, well, there's a greater demand for industrial rehabilitation.
General Manager of HCA Medicorp, Peter Farley, says the new direction of the centre will be an advantage to the Hunter region.
As part of our company, which is Hospital Corporation of Australia, we have excellent and quite a large number of private hospitals. But this unit here, HCA Medicorp, is operating as an outpatient service, again specifically tailoring its services to industry. And as you are aware, as of the 1st of July, employers now have a responsibility to have an accredited rehabilitation provider as part of their team. To that end, this unit serves that nicely.
Workers on the first shift at the Cardiff Brewery received their retrenchment notices shortly after they arrived, discovering they had jobs until only the 25th of next month. A company spokesman told them the decision was caused by the state of the industry, claiming beer sales are down while cask wine is capturing more of the market. The company attributes this to the higher government taxes on beer products. Cole Gemmell is one of the men who was sacked. Cole believes the company may be using the workers to pressure the government to lower the excise on beer.
To me, it's a purely political decision, and I think you'll find most of the chaps in there think that too.
This afternoon, a company spokesman dismissed this claim. John Peel is a lab technician at the brewery. His bewilderment typifies the reaction from the men, retrenched from an industry which they perceive to be faring well.
I'm extremely confused. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. It's been fairly loyal to the company for 5 years and a really good company to work for up until now. I'm quite shocked. I don't know what to do.
Bond Brewing has also scaled down production in its Grafton plant, and 40 people have been put off there. The company says they are now calculating redundancy packages, which will mean a payout of around $6.5 million. Ted Bruderlin, Assistant Secretary of the Ironworkers Union, says the situation is still being assessed, but the union believes it has few options.
Well, at this stage we can't see anything we can do. The men may seek help from their fellow workers in Auburn. We don't know if that is a goer or not, but at this stage there seems to be an acceptance of the situation.
Bond Brewing says the plant will not be dismantled or sold, as if beer sales improve it would hope to restart operations here. In the meantime, 31 clerical, sales and administration staff will still come to work in the enormous but silent complex.
The new pool is located on the outskirts of Nelson Bay, an extension to the district's sporting grounds. The $1.2 million development has been jointly funded by the Port Stephens Shire Council, the Nelson Bay Memorial Pool Committee and local swimming clubs. When completed, the Olympic pool will include 8 lanes stretching 50 metres. The provision for electronic timing has also been made. The development will provide a kiosk as well as an amenities block. It's expected that all will be in operation late September, just in time to catch the early summer swimmers. Helping to boost the pool of financial resources were 2 cheques totalling more than $108,000. They were handed over to the Port Stephens Shire Council last night by the Nelson Bay Memorial Pool Committee. And according to Chairman Jerry Jones, the locals are expecting more than just big splashes.
We've had a lot of kids represent the school and the area in Sydney, but that's as far as they go. That extra 4 yards used to beat them.
So the new pool will help in training sessions as well as competition?
Well, that's what we're putting all the work in for.